and the cold adds about 10-15% onto your speed. So whatever you're doing a mile in sort of in summer, you're going to be a lot slower in the winter in that. So you need to vouch for that. But then sort of the ultramarathon recovery is very different. So it's more about the fatigue and the effort you've put your body through rather than that cold recovery.
Hi, Sam. Thank you so much for coming in to speak to us today. Is this your first time at Kendal?
It is, yeah. It's lovely to be here.
Excellent. So you're a swimmer, but not just any old swimmer. You're a pretty amazing swimmer. You swum an ice mile. You are the fastest woman to swim Lake Geneva, and you're the first and only person to swim Lomond, Loch Ness, and Loch Awe.
I am, yeah.
That's incredible. You've always been a swimmer. How did you start? Just literally as a little girl?
Yeah. So I've always swam as a child through club and sort of competitive swimming, and then got thrown into open water races with sort of no training or information. It was like, oh, we're just going racing this weekend, and just absolutely loved it. So yeah, never looked back.
Was that your swim club that sort of threw you out into the open water, or your family?
It was my family. So quite a few of our swimmers from the club, we found that. Being in the pool all the time, all day, every day, got a bit tedious. So they took us out to race with the BLDSA, the British Long Distance Swimming Association. So that was sort of our weekend fun break from training, just to go and race in lakes.
Yeah. And so did you make the swap from the pool to the open water, or do you still swim in the pool?
I do some of my training in the pool, but I don't race or swim with the club anymore. I predominantly swim outdoors now.
Yeah. And so where did the idea come to swim Lake Geneva?
So when we came out to the Ice Swimming World Championships at the end of 2022, 2023, we flew over and we landed at Geneva Airport. And as we flew over, I said, I want to swim that.
Amazing.
And 9 months later, there we were.
Wow. So how do you go from concept to completion? Like, what do you, other than the training, what logistics do you have to get into?
So I booked the swim and used the Lake Geneva Swimming Association,
Okay.
who are an absolutely fantastic team. So they
Okay.
had their own pilot and their own observers.
Oh, wow.
I just had to turn up with my own crew and my feeds, and they took care of everything else.
Wow.
So-
And can you tell us a little bit more about how it went, the distance, the time,
Yeah.
what the swim was like?
So the swim went absolutely brilliantly. I had in my head about 26 hours. Was a time that would make me the fastest British female, and I would have been really happy with that time. And the first 24 hours or so, the first sort of 12 hours or so went really, really well. And then my back started to fatigue terribly, and my feeds just weren't really working. It was all, I couldn't really keep anything in. But we powered on through. And I was trying to race the sun coming up. So as to get me through the night, I just had in my head, keep swimming till the sunrise, keep swimming till the sunrise. And then as we hit the sunrise, they said, oh, you've only got 5K left. And I was really confused because in my head, I should have been finishing at about 11 a.m. And I was like, oh, the sunrise must be really late today. It didn't clock that I'd swum fast. So I was like, oh, what a weird phenomenon that the sunrise is at 9 a.m. Touching that beach was the absolute best feeling in the world. All my crew jumped in the water and swam in with me. We actually swam a little bit too fast. So the famous jet at the end of Lake Geneva that shoots up and you can see for miles, it doesn't actually turn on till 9 a.m.
Oh, no.
And I finished at 7:30, so I didn't get the iconic finish.
Oh, my
but we went and
gosh.
visited it the next day.
So what was your final time then?
My final time was 22 hours, 48 minutes and 30 seconds.
So did you eat something and halfway through, what do you
Yeah.
think gave you that spurt?
I think it was just so stunning, and just being able to look at the mountains while I was swimming, and my crew. Your crew make such a big difference. Ultramarathon swimming, and I'm sure runners and cyclists will say the same thing. It's not a solo sport. It's all about your team. So having their faces and their laughter at every feed, it just really spurs you on. It
And are
makes a
there
big difference.
rules about what you can wear, or do you just swimsuits?
Yeah, so most swimmers like myself will follow sort of the channel swimming rules, where it's one traditional costume, one hat and a pair of goggles. Some swimmers will choose to do it in a wetsuit, so they'll have different records. But either way, it's a monstrous swimming whatever you're comfortable in. There can be a lot of division between our skins and wetsuit swimmers, but swimming 72K is amazing. It doesn't matter what you wear while you do it.
And what was the water temperature?
It was beautiful, actually. It was between 24 and 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
Lovely.
I didn't feel cold at any point in the swim. It was amazing.
Lovely. And are there rules about you not being able to touch your boat and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, so they can't touch me, I can't touch them. they have to throw my feet into the water, and then I have to tread water. So like when I was changing my goggles, things like that, I have to do all that myself.
Wow. So going from that to now talking about the ice mile,
Yeah.
what is that like? And mile in, yeah, tell us about that. How
So
do
an
you
ice
train for
mile
that?
is a mile swam below 5 degrees, again in a traditional costume and one hat. Yeah, it's a very different swim, very interesting, and it's one of those challenges that it piqued my interest. And yeah, it was an experience. It was really good, and I love the ice swimming community. It's very different to sort of the ultramarathon community. There's a lot of laughter and a lot of love in the ice swimming community. It's brilliant.
I only know two other ice swimmers, Kath,
Yeah,
Merthyr Mermaid, and Becca Harvey.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous, gorgeous women.
Yeah, and that's what you tend to find in the ice swimming community. There's so much love and yeah, a lot of brilliant women.
Yeah, brilliant. And then Loch Ness, Loch Lomond, and Loch Awe.
Yeah.
So which one did you do first?
So I started with Loch Awe,
Yeah.
and that was sort of my first experience of an ultra. I went in very naive.
Yeah.
I thought I trained enough, but halfway through, it evidently hadn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that one in 10 hours 44. So I'm the fastest person that we know of to have swam that.
Wow.
Yeah, that was brilliant. And then I went on to swim. We went up to Loch Lomond, and then it was the middle of a storm, so we didn't get to swim it, unfortunately. And then we went to Loch Ness next, and that was probably the hardest swim of my life. We only did 6 hours in there, and then I pulled the swim. I got out of that one. I just talked myself into a really negative headspace, convinced myself that I had hypothermia, and I was, So I got out, and as soon as I got out, I was absolutely fine. So it was just the power of my mind. I talked myself into that bad space when actually physically I was doing okay. So we went back to Loch Lomond 2 weeks later, did Loch Lomond, and absolutely loved it. I just changed my mindset completely. I just wanted to enjoy that swim, and I did. And that's really sort of changed my outlook on the ultramarathon since. I try not to go into it with a time or any pressure. I just go in purely with the intention to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which Loch Lomond really taught me that.
Yeah.
So.
And so do you think a lot of it is your mental attitude?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you stand at the start of a lake and look down it, you have to know that you're going to get out at the other end and you're going to complete that. I think if there's any doubt at the start, it's going to eat away. As soon as you get a bit tired or you get a bit of a niggle, if that doubt then really just plays on that, it's definitely a mental game.
And how do you work on your mental attitude on land and part of your training? Do you have quite do you do meditation, do you visualization, self-talk? What do you do to really work?
I do a lot of visualization. So I train on my own in the pool a lot. So I can be 2-3 hours plowing up and down a pool completely on my own. Yeah. And I use that time to visualize. So when I was doing all the training in the pool for Geneva, I was just thinking about Geneva and picturing me walking out at the end. It felt like I'd been there before. I'd pictured myself walking out in that exact moment so many times. It was almost a little bit anticlimactic because I'd seen it so many times in my head. When I did it, it was like, okay, I've done it.
Yeah. How do you recover?
So if you swim fast, the ice mile recovery is okay. The longer you're in the water, the longer that recovery period is.
Right.
So if there is anyone that is wanting to do one, I would say work on your speed. And the cold adds about 10-15% onto your speed. So whatever you're doing a mile in sort of in summer, you're going to be a lot slower in the winter in that. So you need to vouch for that. But then sort of the ultramarathon recovery is very different. So it's more about the fatigue and the effort you've put your body through rather than that cold recovery. Yeah. It was, I slept for a very long time after Geneva. But again, things like your strength and conditioning and yoga, I do a lot of yoga now. I think that really helps with that recovery period as well afterwards.
And you lift weights then and things?
So yeah, I do. Not as much as I should do. I get a lot of nagging. Yeah, I get a lot of nagging from my strength and conditioning. Yeah. So I have started now, ready for next year's plans. Yeah. I have started my strength and conditioning now.
So next year's plans, are you able to tell us? You've mentioned it and it sounds amazing and very apt given that we're in the Lake District.
Yeah, so we were looking at maybe going to Lake Garda or somewhere in Europe to swim in one of their beautiful lakes. And then it dawned on me that I should be able to do those swims here in the UK. And we should have beautiful water and beautiful places to swim. So next year I'm going to do an ultramarathon swim in Lake Windermere, and we are going to do it to almost as a bit of a protest swim for the sewage output that is put into Lake Windermere. So we're going to aim. In fact, we're not putting a number on the swim. I'm just going to swim for as long as I can physically swim, and let's see where we end up. If that's over 24 hours, over 100K, we'll see. That'd be brilliant.
Wow.
but obviously the water quality is going to affect that. We
Yeah.
should be able to do that swim in that lake.
Yeah.
And at the moment,
Yeah.
it doesn't look like we can.
And you already did a long relay on Windermere, haven't you?
Yeah, so previously with 3 fellow female swimmers, we did the world's longest freshwater current neutral relay in Windermere. We've done 13 lengths of Windermere already between us. We did 3.5 days, and every single night we had to swim through the sewage that was being put into the lake. So yeah, I've got some experience with it already. So
Yeah. Sounds like it could make a very interesting film.
yeah, yeah, well, that would be really, really cool to have a film about it. But yeah, we just want to make lots of noise about it. You know, if paddleboarders want to come down and paddle some of it
Yeah,
with
I'm a
us.
paddleboarder.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, brilliant.
yeah.
So like, if you wanted to come down and paddle like a length or so with it, that'd be absolutely amazing. Just as much noise and things we can get about it. It's not going to be a solo swim. I'll be the one swimming, but if we can get loads of people involved, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, teamwork seems like a huge part of your swimming journey.
Definitely, yeah. And when I talk about the swims, someone pulled me up on it the other day and said, "You always say we."
I noticed
Yeah,
that.
she said, "You never say I, you always say we," and it because I couldn't do it without my team. I always have the same team. I absolutely love my crew on the boat, and I won't swim without them. So whenever I come up with one of these stupid ideas, before I even decide it, I ask them first. I check when they're free, because I'm not doing it without them. If they're not
Yeah.
free, we're not going.
I love that when you said, and we dug deep, and I was thinking, yeah, that's a lovely way of putting. I think that I will remember that about
Yeah,
you.
I think I've got the easy job. All I'm doing is turning my arms. They're the ones that are measuring carbohydrates and trying to come up with the next funny thing to keep me going.
Yeah.
So,
What is your favourite snack on a long, or are they not snacks, are they? They're proper fuel. What's your
Yeah.
favourite?
So we're going to have a little play around with it this time, but I really like angel food slices or almond slices.
Oh,
A little bit of
lovely.
cake keeps me
Yeah,
going.
nice. But you've got a little bit of protein in there as well.
Yeah.
And finally, the message around Kendal Mountain Festival is share the adventure. What would you like to share to people watching today, and when you're speaking about swimming and what you do?
I just think everyone should consider themselves a swimmer, I mean, we were talking a little bit before. People always say to me, "Oh, I swim, but not like you. I'm not a swimmer like you." If you're getting in your swimming, you are a swimmer. I don't want anyone to be put off by their ability or their body or anything like that. You are a swimmer. This sport is open to everyone.
Yeah, your family must be very proud of you.
Yeah, everything I do is so that my kids think I'm a cool mum. All I want is for them to think I'm cool.
Oh, how old are they?
They're 5 and 7.
They just think you're cool
Yeah.
already. But wow, what memories you're making for them. And do they swim?
They do, yeah. So they've just
Excellent.
started at my old swimming club. So.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, and good luck with the next adventure and the next message that you're sharing with people. And thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.